In the middle of the night in Los Angeles, Louis sneaks into a train yard and starts cutting a chain-link fence. When he sees a light approaching, he hides his tools and gets questioned by a security guard. Louis pretends to cooperate, but then attacks the guard to steal his watch. Louis sells the fence at a scrapyard after haggling for a while. He asks the foreman for a job, but is turned down, so he tries for an unpaid internship. The foreman refuses, knowing Louis is a thief. Later, Louis sees police cars and finds an accident with a burning car. He meets Joe, a stringer who films such scenes and sells the footage. Interested, Louis asks Joe for a job, but is declined. The next day, Louis sees the accident on TV and decides to become a stringer. He steals a bike, paws it, and buys a camcorder and police scanner. Louis struggles with the scanner codes and route planning. He first tries filming a minor arrest and a DUI stop, but is sent away. Eventually, he captures graphic footage of a fatal carjacking. A cop kicks him out, and Louis follows another stringer to learn about negotiating with newscasts. Louis then shows his footage to Nina at Channel 6, who is impressed, but producer Frank rejects it for being too graphic for a morning show. Nina decides to buy Louis' footage after adding a warning, but she tells him she's in charge. Though Louis doesn't get as much money as he hoped, Nina says he has potential and suggests he get a better camera for better quality. She mentions they're interested in graphic accidents and violent crimes in wealthy areas for better ratings. The next morning, Louis sees his footage on TV and feels accomplished. He downloads the clip and looks up police codes online to learn them. Later, Louis interviews a young man named Rick. Louis uses a lot of corporate jargon, but hires Rick because he has a phone, knows the area, and can use GPS. Louis offers Rick an unpaid internship, which Rick protests because he needs some pay due to his financial situation. After negotiating, Louis agrees to pay him $30 per night. That evening, Louis and Rick wait in their car, listening to the police scanner. Louis teaches Rick the police codes. After a long wait, they hear about a fire and hurry to the scene. Rick is supposed to use GPS to find the best route, but Louis drives aggressively and yells at him, causing Rick to give wrong directions. By the time they arrive, the paramedics have already left with the victim. Joe makes fun of Louis for being late, and Louis scolds Rick for poor communication. Rick asks not to be rushed. On their next lead, Louis remains calm, and they arrive on time, but the police have already sealed off the area, so there's nothing to record. Frank takes advantage of a police distraction to sneak into a house, rearranges the scene to look worse, and steals junk mail for the victims' names. Louis shows the footage to Nina, who decides to use it despite Frank's concerns about its legality. Louis and Rick become successful in capturing crime scenes, with Louis improving his equipment and Rick finding the best routes. One night, Louis arrives at a car crash before the police, drags a dead body into the light for a better shot, and is later sent away by the police. Joe, who sees Louis' footage, realizes he missed out. Louis then asks Nina out, threatening to withhold footage if she declines. Nina agrees, but feels compromised. Joe offers Louis a spot on his team, but Louis refuses and threatens Joe, causing Joe to leave in anger. During dinner, Louis pressures Nina into a personal relationship, leveraging his footage's success. Nina agrees to meet Louis on weekends, in exchange for him selling footage only to her. Rick makes another mistake, causing Louis to miss a big story. Joe's team gets the footage first, and Nina is frustrated. Louis, enraged by Joe's success, plans revenge by breaking into Joe's house and sabotaging his van. That night, Louis and Rick arrive just in time to record a car crash. To their surprise, it's Joe's van, and he's badly hurt and being taken away in an ambulance. Rick thinks it's wrong to film another stringer and says Joe is one of them, but Louis doesn't care and continues to record. Joe glares at Louis in anger, but Louis stays put. A few nights later, Louis and Rick quickly get to a large mansion that was broken into before the police arrive. Louis sneaks inside and sees the criminals fleeing. He hides in the bushes to film their faces and their van's license plate. Louis then goes inside and films every drop of blood on the floor, following the trail to find the victims' bodies. He films each one and even adds a shot of an empty crib to make viewers think there might be a dead baby inside. When he finds the last body, he realizes the man is still alive, but records him anyway, before fleeing with Rick, just before the police arrive. They stop a few blocks away so Louis can quickly cut out the criminals and the living victim from the footage. Louis takes the video to Nina, who is very impressed. Frank is upset, so Nina calls the channel's lawyer to confirm the footage is legal. The lawyer says they're pushing the boundaries, but should be fine as long as they blur the address and censor the victims' faces. Louis then demands $15,000 for the footage. When Nina refuses to pay that much, Louis loses his temper and insists that from now on, she must pay whatever he asks without complaint, give credit to his company, Video Production News, and introduce him to all her co-workers for networking. Terrified, Nina agrees. On air, Louis watches with satisfaction as the anchors mention his company while presenting the footage. Nina provides feedback, emphasizing the dramatic aspects of the scene. During a commercial break, Nina's boss is called to congratulate her and asked to meet Louis. The next morning, Detective Frontieri and her partner visit Louis' apartment for questions. Louis fabricates a story, claiming he heard the shots and entered the house to help, but started recording when he realized it was too late. He recalls seeing a van drive away but didn't get a good look at the criminals' faces. The detectives aren't convinced but have no further leads, so they leave. Later, Louis looks up the license plate online and finds the address of one of the criminals. He and Rick go to the address and wait outside. When Rick sees the van, he asks why Louis isn't calling the police. Louis says he wants the criminals to go somewhere else, hoping for a more dramatic story if they resist arrest. Rick becomes worried about the danger and demands a raise. Louis lets him choose the amount, and Rick asks for $75 a night, which Louis agrees to immediately. Rick realizes he could have asked for more, but Louis says it's too late to change. The criminal eventually leaves the house, and Louis and Rick follow him as he picks up his partner. They track them to a fast food restaurant. Louis calls the police, giving them detailed descriptions, mentioning the criminals are armed, and noting they're involved in a major crime. He offers his own name as the tipster. After hanging up, Rick decides to ask for half of the reward offered by the police. Louis, needing a second camera for better angles, agrees to the deal. Rick then moves to the other side of the restaurant to wait. When the police arrive, the criminals open fire, leading to a gunfight that kills several people. Louis and Rick film the scene as one criminal is killed and the other is wounded but escapes in his van. The police chase him, and Louis picks up Rick to follow the chase. The pursuit is chaotic, with a civilian car crashing into a police vehicle. The remaining police car continues the chase, and the criminal starts ramming it. The collision results in both the criminal and the police car crashing. Louis rushes in to capture the scene and announces the criminal is dead. He asks Rick to come closer to film, but when Rick approaches, the criminal, still alive, shoots him. Louis continues to record as the criminal tries to escape, but is shot by the police. Louis then checks on Rick and records his injuries, ensuring he gets the footage, but remains unharmed. Rick realizes Louis knew the criminal was alive and used him to get a better story. Louis shows no remorse and takes Rick's camera after he dies. Louis then takes all the footage to Nina, who is thrilled with the graphic content. Just before going live, Frank tells Nina that a reliable source revealed the crime at the house wasn't random. It involved a mob family hiding illegal drugs. Nina decides not to include this detail, believing that stories about ordinary tragedies sell better. Frank says she sounds like Louis, but Nina takes it as a compliment, seeing Louis as an inspiration. Later, Detective Frontieri comes to the station demanding the footage as evidence, but Nina refuses to hand it over without a warrant. Frontieri then takes Louis in for questioning, but Louis remains calm and sticks to his story. Frontieri, growing angrier, criticizes Louis' unethical practices, but has to let him go due to lack of evidence. A few nights later, Louis acquires 2 vans with the Video Production News logo and hires 3 interns. He won't pay them, but promises they will not do anything he wouldn't do himself. They all head out together to find the next story.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.